Hello and welcome back to another edition of Raw Bikes. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're off to the Yamaha Off-Road Experience Centre in mid sort of northeast Wales in an area called Powys, in a town, villagey town called Llanidloes. Hope I pronounced that right. I'm sure my Welsh friends would tell me. It's on a farm run by the Jones family. The father, Geraint, I think, and Dylan and Rowan, two sons. They run it between themselves. It's a working farm, but they also run the Yamaha Off-Road Experience Centre. I went there last year. It was very good, and I felt that I did learn a lot. So I've been invited back again this year. I've been kindly invited by a friend of mine to join a group. So I'm going to meet up with a bunch of lads this evening, and we're going to basically get together, quick bite to eat, and then tomorrow we're going to head off up into the hills to the farm and give it a go. Really, the Yamaha Experience Centre has two types of bikes. They have WR250 and 450Fs, which are enduro bikes, and they have a 1087, the dual sport bike that a lot of you commonly know. It's used on the road and touring and that type of thing, dual sport, a bit of off-roading. So they're both of those bikes there. I'm not quite sure which one it is today. I think it's going to be the enduro bikes, but we'll see when we get there. Not quite sure. But I've been kindly invited, so I'm going to give it a go. So it's going to be very wet though, that's the only thing. So it's going to be fun, I'm sure, in the rain. Anyway, see you in Wales. For me in sunny Sussex, it's a whiz round the M25, up the M40, around Birmingham, and then head west, working my way over to Llanidloes. And that is our hotel. So here we are, we've arrived in Llanidloes, outside the mountain, our hotel for the evening. And as you can see, Llanidloes is a quaint little Welsh town. So here we are for this evening and off to our event tomorrow. Well, we certainly got some traditional Welsh weather for today's trip. So the farm where the Yamaha school is housed is just about 11-12 minutes drive from Llanidloes. So on arrival, there's a little bit of paperwork, unless you do it in advance, which I generally did, makes it quicker. Grab a coffee, there's plenty of tea or coffee there, it's available throughout the day. And then make your way into the changing area where all the kit's provided. So you get your helmet, your boots, gloves, and all your kit that you need laid on. You can use your own stuff if you want, that's no problem. I did, I used my helmet and my boots personally, and some other people did, but if you haven't got any kit, it's not a problem. They just provide everything for you.
I'm Dylan Jones, one of the guys that runs the centre here. I know most faces. Anybody not been before is probably easy to say. There's a few not been before.
So initially, Dylan just basically assesses people's experience, goes through the safety aspects of the day, do's and don'ts, and things like that, and format, what we're going to do over the day, really. So that was sort of initial briefing. One thing to note is that they do not provide lunch. They do not provide any food there. You can't buy any food, anything, sandwiches, sweets, or anything like that at all. There's nothing there. So you need to bring that with you in advance. Otherwise, it's going to be a coffee lunch, which isn't going to be brilliant. So just a note for that.
I did check the list of riding experience today. I think I'm correct in saying that everybody here can ride a motorcycle a bunch of years. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Been a while. Yeah. Okay. Don't worry where you feel as though you fall on the ability scale. As I said, the important thing is to enjoy it and take it at your own pace, your own level. So if everybody's ready, we will head down to the yard and we'll have a run through the bikes.
Going to start the day. It looks like it's going to be very wet after a curry last night with the boys and a few beers. We're about to head out. it should be fun, and Dylan's going to take us out. So let's go.
Choke on, out to start. The button's on the right hand side, the handlebar, start the bikes.
Dylan and team are very used to dealing with a wide range of experiences for off-road, from zero to hero type experience. So those guys there turned up basically just past their CBT, so they could just about ride a bike okay. Never been off-road before, so it's a brand new experience for them. And the instructors, and we had 3 that day, are very sympathetic to helping out newbies effectively for off-road. With Dylan's experience, they're very easily accommodate very highly skilled riders as well, and they can give some training right through from zero to hero.
Gears, they're either 5 or 6 speed gearbox, neutral in between first and second gear, as it is with all modern motorcycles. So that's those couple of bikes there. Moving on down, these are Yamaha's WR range, which are enduro competition bikes. Vast majority of the couple at the bottom are 250s. They're very powerful, very responsive for 254 strokes. As I said, they are, enduro competition type bikes, so they go very, very well. These couple here at the top are also a little bit lowered, so you'll find them a little bit easy to get your feet to the ground. Starting with these WR250Fs, the cold start on these is on the throttle body on the left hand side. So you come round, if you're not familiar, come round to the side of the bike here. There's a white button on that throttle body. White button there, can everybody see? That white button there. Push it in, back towards the bike, it's now on. The button on the right hand side starting. Then the bike's warm up. Turn it off on these bikes, what we do is turn the throttle in the opposite direction. It's now off, okay? That's how you turn the cold start. You want to spin it to get the water back. Then the stop button is on the top of the left hand switch there on the left hand side. On this switch here, you've also got a blue light that's illuminated on it. It's a map. There's a mapping switch, which is the button on the bottom of the switch here. When the blue light is on, it's on a softer map. When you press it, you turn it off, it's on a slightly more aggressive map. It's not night and day different, but there is a difference in the way it delivers power. It's a bit sharper, a bit more responsive with the light off. Blue light on is the softer map. You can change that on the move, on the fly, when you're going. Anybody got any questions on those bikes?
If it stalls, just to start on that side there.
This side here, yeah. They will start in gear, providing you pull the clutch in. Remember, if you stall, they'll stop in 4th gear. It's not very easy to take off in 4th again. They generally start easier in neutral, but yes, they will start in gear. With a cold start, probably once they've been running today, well, they've already been running, but once they've been running, you probably will need to use those start. They either like no throttle or only a tiny amount when you're going to start. If we turn the throttle wide open, they're not. Press and hold start. All the bikes are fitted with these Renthal Intelli levers, which bend and flex. The idea being, if you drop the bikes over, you don't bend or break the levers. That's not impossible or a challenge. But what can happen is, if you do have a little bit of a tumble, the levers can become dislocated a little bit, like you can see that front brake lever is there. The clutch lever is usually not a problem because you need that to start off. But in your thing to pick it up and chase after, so everybody doesn't know you come off. If the front brake lever's not where you're expecting it to be and you get to the next corner, then obviously it's going to be an issue. You're probably going to be picking it up again. So you have a little bit of a tumble, just make sure everything's back where it should be before you take off and go again. Everybody happy with that? So these are 250s, these are slightly lower. The top of these bikes here, which have got R's on, which will go down to about here, they're a little bit less aggressive on the throttle. It's probably a little bit easier to ride for those who maybe not quite so much experience. Everything else, these are full height, other than that, is the same. Then go down from here, this one is lower, those are all full height. These are set up a little bit more aggressively. They're a bit sharper, a bit more responsive off the throttle, which is good and bad depending on your experience levels. And then at the top end, we've got 2 WR450s, which are obviously the bigger brother of the 250, suited to those who've done a reasonable amount of off-road riding before. It's not the bike to start off on if you haven't done an awful lot of riding before. Anybody got any questions on any of the bikes? Nope.
So after leaving the farm, we made our way up to the Havering Forest via their own farm gates and fields and stuff across the cattle grids to where all the interesting stuff is.
My God, it's wet today.
As you can see, wet weather does not stop play. Very rarely are events cancelled due to wet weather. It may be because of high winds or very heavy storms, but generally, even if it's raining hard, the event's not cancelled.
All right.
Up next is a short briefing about the forest, the Havering Forest, before we go in.
Good, everybody okay? Good stuff. So we're going to carry on now into the forest in a moment. Little bit narrower track that we've ridden, but nothing too technical, too difficult. If you're not certain, don't be afraid to put your feet down. You can sit, you can stand, no problem. But the important thing, obviously, we've got a variation in this group. Just come along at your own pace. Don't feel as though you need to keep up with the person in front. We will wait for the junctions when we come along. Any questions? No? Good, good.
So we're now leaving the farm and moving into the wonderful 10,000 acre Havering Forest. This is where all the interesting stuff starts to happen. So these wider or main tracks around the forest, they're called the fire roads or fire tracks, and for obvious, because they're naming, there in case there's a fire up there, engines can get up there to put the fire out, or people can get access to it. But also any of the timber lorries and whatever, they use these roads as well. So you need to be a little bit careful, because you go flying out into one of these tracks, there could be a nice, healthy, large lorry coming along. So just got to be careful for that type of thing.
So we have a mixture of riders here today. There's the people that have been before, probably about 4 or 5 of the guys have been before, including myself. There's a couple of guys a few guys that haven't been, so it's the first time for them. 1 or 2 have not ridden off-road before, got motorbikes, and one guy's just passed his CBT. So it's quite, very brave of him to come out just after he passed his CBT to have a go, really. It's a good experience for him.
So this is our first little stop. It's a little coned off circular area. There's got some banks and a little bit of water or whatever for us to go around, and Dylan and the other 2 instructors to evaluate the riders, give them some feedback and just let them know what they're doing right and wrong, etc. So it's a useful sort of kick-off point to try and bring everyone up to the sort of similar standards, so we sort of carry on to some more challenging bits.
Good. Everybody feeling okay? Managing all right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So just a quick few little bits and pieces. Just obviously, we've got variations in everybody's experience here. On the whole, everybody's doing. I just said, one gentleman over there sitting a little bit too far back. Okay, we want to be sitting. To a lot of you, when you're sitting in the centre, you'll feel as though you sit in the front because we're not used to sitting. That's about where we want to be sitting, with our hips over the top of the footrest here. Because when we're in this position, our head is over the front. We've got control over the front end. When we sit, the further back we sit, the less weight we have, the harder it is to get the bike to go where we want it to. So that's what we're looking for. So when you're riding, just check you haven't got loads of seat left in front of you. Everybody happy with that? Standing up, I see most people having to go at standing up. To some people, it'll be a little bit of a new thing. Who's not ridden stood up much before? One. everybody else has been here quite a few times before, fairly comfortable and happy with it. There's two main reasons why we stand up when we're riding off-road. If you ride mountain bikes off-road, it's the same sort of concept. On the rougher ground you stand on the pedals, on the rougher ground we stand up. Number one is basically the suspension effect of our arms and our legs to absorb the bumps and the holes. You might think, yeah, but the bike's got loads of suspension, it'll do it for me. It will to an extent, you know, sitting down it'll take, you know, some of the bumps. But when you start to ride on rougher ground, bumpier ground, and you're starting to go a bit quicker, when you sat down, you're obviously taking all the bumps, all the jolts up to your backside. It's not good for your body generally. What you find is when you start riding on rougher ground, the seat starts kicking you in the backside, kicking you out the seat. If you get that, that's always a good warning sign that you should either stand up or don't go any quicker. Because what will happen is you go hit one of the bumps too fast, it'll go right through the suspension travel with you sat on the seat. When it hits the bottom, it'll rebound back really quick. And if you're sat on the seat, it wants to go and launch you out over the top. Whereas when you stood up, you've got all this extra suspension in your arms and your legs to help absorb the bumps and the holes. And the other reason for standing is it's actually much easier to change your balance and direction of the bike when you stood up than when you sat down. Because when you stood up, you have the ability to weight your foot pegs to control your balance and direction. As soon as you push weight right, the bike goes that direction, or push left. So it immediately reacts with just a little bit of body weight one way or the other, the bike will go. And when you start riding those narrower single track type trails, you're always needing to change your balance and direction because they're not going in a straight line. So if you sit down, you lose the ability to do that because all the weight's coming through your backside. So if you're riding sat down, you'll be doing this all the time, trying to keep the bike going where you want it, which does work to an extent, but obviously it's quite physical on your upper body if you're doing this all the time. Whereas when you stood up, your vision improves a little bit, and then you just push left, push right on your footrest, and the bike will immediately go in the direction you want it to as you're going along. That's the standing position you're looking for when you're going along. Okay, any questions on that? You can't stand if you stand with a straight arm. Upper body's too high, and a straight arm gives you no real power or strength in your upper body. Got much more resistance in that position there. Loads to remember, loads to take in. You know, and that's why to get, you know, confident and competent at riding off-road takes a long time, a number of years. Tim's been coming a long time now, and you know, but you know, you do progress and you gradually improve. But obviously, if you only ride once or twice a year, it's going to take a very long time, you know, compared to somebody who rides, you know, 20 times a year, every year. Okay, when you're ready, give it a quick go.
So at this point, I stopped and asked Dylan what he's actually looking for and what he's planning to give in the way of feedback to the riders. You know, what in the way of coaching or helping.
Yeah, just looking. You know, obviously we're trying to explain what you should be doing, and then we're watching to see how everybody is. You know, whether their body position is correct, how they're sitting, how they're standing. Then you know, covering their controls, using their controls. So you know, we're just try to demonstrate and then hopefully see people putting it in practice.
Excellent. Yeah, and what you've seen quite variations of rider here.
Yeah, you do. Obviously, a lot of these are relatively inexperienced off-road riders, road riders. So obviously, those who ride on the road, they can ride bikes, but riding off-road is totally different. So it's almost like starting all over again.
Ooh, not very pleasant up here.
So we now moved up to one of the higher points into the forest. It gets a bit open and a bit desolate up there, almost in the clouds, really. So this little test area, the best way to describe it is probably it's a mini motocross track. It's for practicing your turning in skills and accelerating out, and where to, where not to, how to hold your arms to get the best out of the riding. So this is Dylan out on the track, just showing all the students the correct way to turn in and to position the bike.
Yeah. It's always both brakes. 70% front, 30% back. As he's going to turn in, there's no brakes. He's changed maybe from fourth down to third, down to second. He brakes. As he goes to sit down, there's no brakes. He's just coasting there. Yes. All right. Okay.
So we all get to have a go. It's a bit wet and slippery, so best not to go too fast when it's like that, really. And it's the surface is a bit unforgiving. There's some pretty big rocks out there that look a bit nasty and could cut through you. So I think everyone was going pretty careful, really.
You're right. Put a hand. Put a hand up. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
For me, I do my braking while I'm standing. So I'm coming into the corner, just like this. I've got a much nicer feel on my rear brake, front to back. I've changed down just before the corner now. As you think right, gas, the bike fires you out into the loop. Get the bike turned first, and then slide from by there, back there, hook up from second, straight to third, and the bike will drive in a straight line.
Right. Leaving the firing range. And back for lunch. We go. Who's that?
I think this chap hurt himself when he come off in the water there. And here we are coming out of the forest back onto the Jones family farmland.
Well, after a quick sandwich, lunch and a cup of tea, we're off out for round 2. Chapman's unfortunately fell off in the puddle and hurt himself, so he's decided he's going to cry it off this afternoon. Probably sensible. Oh, it's miserable up on top here. It's quite nice down by the farm.
Back in the forest for round 2.
Well, the afternoon programme gets a little bit more tricky and a little bit faster. So, looks like we've had 3 people drop out over lunch. I was told. Probably doesn't look very steep on camera here, but it's actually quite steep. We go down in the woods today. You'll be in for a surprise, I think. Blimey.
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
No, you're not. On your mindset. And I keep saying to myself, you're good, you can do this. You're good, you can do this. So I'm getting the right mindset. Sounds like me in the morning.
Teetering. Try not to look too much at your front wheel as well. You know, try and get your head up and look where you're going a bit more. Because if you focus at the front wheel, it's not helpful.
We're going into the final quarter of the day now. So on to some tougher stuff. We're going to a little strip called Rocky Road, they call it, which is an uphill climb, I think. We'll find out when we get there. Definitely getting a bit damp now. Feet are a bit damp. My hands are a bit damp. My body's a bit damp. Hey, Bridge. Ow. God, it's deep. Stinks as well. Phew. It's stagnant, that one.
Now, it was at this point I totally forgot that Dylan said, look down the road and don't look in front of you. And I looked in front of me and turned left instead of turning sort of slightly right and going straight on, and ended up in a rut as deep as my waist. I almost got it out, and then the cavalry arrived.
That's why I got out of the way. Oh, well done, sir. Thank you. Oh.
So at this point, after the chap got slightly stuck or stalled in front of me, I thought I'd be clever and tried to ride around him on the bank. As I went to put my foot down, there was a great big hole there, and well, the rest is history.
It's quite comfortable down here. It's quite comfortable down here. I feel like a beached whale. My rucksack's holding me down.
There we go, mate.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I've done.
Okay.
Yeah,
You okay?
yeah, fine. I was in a ditch.
Stupid silly balls, wasn't it? No, you just
I went to go. I went to go around him, and there's no foothold there. Look, I put my foot in that, and then I went over.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It was more entertaining than anything else. Well, that's it. Other than a quick ride across the fields to the farm, that's virtually the day over for riding anyway.
That's smooth, man. Took all our efforts to pull you up, didn't it?
I was tired.
I saw the fall as well. Those falls, you just like, once you get going,
There's nothing there. There's a big hole. There's a big. I could put. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. It was just the air. There's a great big void the other side. So I just went down and down and down and down and down, and then I just thought I was stuck on my rucksack. My rucksack wasn't letting me bend to get up, so I was like a beached whale. Could I have a quick spray on my boots? Yeah. Lovely.
Here we are today with Dylan at the Yamaha Off-Road Experience Centre. Is that right?
It is, yeah. That's
It
it.
is?
Yeah, in not in sunny mid Wales. We've had quite a damp day, but
We've had quite a damp
it's
day
dried
today.
up now. We've finished.
Yeah, we've had a glorious day. Lots of fun, haven't we?
Lots of rain.
Fun.
Yeah, lots of water.
I've enjoyed the day very much. It's been really good fun. So thank you, and really enjoyed everything about what we've done. I did actually think, for some reason, bizarrely, I was going to go on some Tenerés today, but I think it was probably a misunderstanding on my part. But we're on the Enduro bikes, which is the WR250F.
Yeah, this is a WR250F, like the one you've been riding today, and the rest of the guys. Obviously, we've got WR450s as well, which customers can ride.
Yep.
But probably the WR250F is the better all-round bike for most of the customers that we get here.
Right. So, just for people that have never been before, why do you think people come, and what do they get out of the event here? Because you've got these sort of bikes, 250s and 450s. You've got a couple of Tenerés that you do.
Yeah.
So the type of person that comes, what would you think they will get from it?
Obviously, we run the off-road experience courses using Yamaha's WR range predominantly, some of the TTR range as well. They are out and out off-road bikes. Yeah, so they are out and out off-road, enduro type bikes.
Yep.
And then obviously we've got the Tenere 700, the adventure bikes. So we get a mixture of people coming on both.
Right.
I suppose people come because they want to learn how to ride off-road. For the experience, of riding really, and obviously the countryside that and the terrain that we've got to do it in really.
Right.
We get such a large range. We can cater for all abilities. On the off-road experience, we can cater for people who've never ridden motorcycles at all before.
Right. That's interesting.
Through to
for even real novices.
Even total novices. Even today, we had a couple that were very inexperienced riders. To start them off in the field, and get them going. And obviously, we can cater for those who are expert level, experienced off-road riders as well.
Yeah.
On the Tenere 700s. you know, that's, you know, so again, you know, people come in for similar. A lot of our customers who come on the Tenere experience have either got a Tenere or an adventure bike,
Right.
and they want to be able to learn how to ride it, you know, more confidently off-road, and rather than using their own when they just bought, they'd rather scratch, or potentially if they're going to drop the, you know, one
no one
of
likes to
ours,
scratch
isn't
their
it?
own
Really,
bike,
no,
but
not when you've bought a new one.
Yeah.
So you know, it's just, you know, obviously enjoyment. You know, riding off road is a lot of fun, and you know, a lot of our customers are guys who ride on the road, regular road riders, who are, you know, maybe looking, thinking, oh, they've always fancied having a go at riding off road.
Yeah, I mean, for people who've never done off-road riding, how long do you think? How many courses do you think it would do to get them to do off-road? Or do you think...
It varies from person to person. You get some people who pick it up very quickly, and others not. You know, some people, we get people who've done very little riding before, but maybe do a lot of mountain biking. Quite a lot of good crossover to that. You get a lot of people who are very experienced, good, you know, road riders, and again, you know, they will pick it up quite quickly. But I suppose, you know, hey, you know, you can learn a lot in a day, but you know, you probably need, you know, sort of, you know, a good 4 or 5 days of riding off road to sort of, you know, start to you know, get the hang of it really. And obviously to get good and competent, you know, is a, you know, hundreds of hours, you know, years and years of experience to really know what you're doing.
Is there anything special about this bike, or is it stock? That's another question.
This bike is as we use it on the school. So when they come, actually, they come with headlight, tail light, speedo, which we pull off for our use. We're just using them really off-road. So then what we do to these bikes is we change and put our own bodywork, our own graphics on. Then they are fitted with Dunlop EN91 Enduro tyres, and they're also run a bib moose. So there's mooses in all the tyres.
I thought there's moose. But what sort of moose is it? So which tyres and which mooses?
These are Dunlop, so we use Dunlop tyres. These are EN91 Enduro tyres with Dunlop's own bib moose that goes in.
And what sort of pressure does it mimic, that moose?
Around about the 10 to 12
10
PSI.
To 12 PSI.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
They did a course today on their own bikes.
They were here yesterday, so we had a group yesterday. We had about 10 on our bikes of these guys, and they wanted to stay on and do another day, so they've been out.
So they've had a couple of days on their own Teneres.
They've had a couple of days out, on their own bikes. So we get, you know, obviously quite a lot of guys on their own Teneres coming along. So
Okay.
So fitted with mooses. Obviously, the idea of moose is, for those that don't know, it's a foam insert essentially that goes in the tyres. You can't
puncture-proof,
really.
Isn't it?
So it's puncture-proof. Allows you to run a softer pressure effectively, which gives you a little bit more grip. Then these bikes are fitted with Renthal handlebars and Renthal Intelli levers, which are
so it's adapted slightly then.
Just for what we do really. Use. And then otherwise, these bikes have the capability to do the mapping on them.
Which is change the power a bit,
so
we?
Yes, you can.
There's a little blue button.
There's a mapping switch here, but it also, there's an app that you can use on a smartphone, which allows you to adjust the mapping. So these are mapped specifically for what we feel as though we want for the school use. So we map some of them so that they're much softer and more gentle and easy to use, and others that are a little bit more aggressive, a bit more responsive on the power.
Okay,
really.
Excellent. All right. Another question from me is, some of my videos I've done are with a big company called Sand Raiders, which we take our bikes out to Morocco and Tunisia and places like that. The mooses inside, we had some trouble in the heat with the mooses. Have you got any recommendations for protecting them?
Lots of lube.
Lots of lube. Yeah. Okay.
Mooses, obviously, the hotter the climate, the harder the time to have. The rockier the terrain, and the longer the distances you ride, the heat is a problem to mooses. When they get very hot, they start to disintegrate and break up.
We lost a few mooses.
So they obviously, the newer the moose, the better. You've got to have plenty of lube to try and keep them cool in those, and to make sure that the moose is fitting the tyre quite well, because if it isn't fitting, you get a lot of movement, which gives the friction and gives more heat, which means that the moose is getting.
It's ensuring getting the correct tyre moose match.
Yes, in these conditions, when we're riding very wet, muddy conditions, we'll run a softer moose. to give more grip. But obviously, you know, the conditions is, you know, it's not so hard. But if you're riding, you know, in, you know, deserts, rally raids like that, they're getting a hard time. So you need to make sure that you've got quite a firm mousse in those conditions, because the grip isn't quite as relevant as you're not riding on slippery, wet rock and mud in those sort of places. So a firmer mousse will help with that.
I did wonder
really.
that. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Just to sort of wrap up, really, I was interested in the pedigree of you guys, really, with your history for people, so if they ever come here. I know your father started it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, you know, I saw a little bit about his history on your website, but in your words, you know, just tell us about your dad and your brother and what you do. And
everything. Dad, he was Geraint Jones. He was like 9 times British Enduro champion, you know, one of the best Enduro riders of his era, really. And that's how it all came about, really. He went to race for Yamaha in, I think it was 1991, early 90s anyway.
Right.
Towards the end of his racing sort of career, really. He was doing a lot of coaching with riders and things like that. And he thought there was a lot of demand for people who wanted to try riding off-road but didn't have their own bikes and equipment, and Yamaha were quite, you know, keen on the coaching and the school side. So we essentially came up with the concept of what the off-road experience is today, is where, you know, we supply the bikes, all the equipment, and people can just turn up. And, you know, we show them how to do it and take them out for the day, really. Excellent. So that's how that all started from his. And then, you know,
I see you've got quite a lot of
yes,
experience.
Myself and my brother are both, you know, ex Enduro riders. You know, we've ridden British World Championship level, won British Championships, represented, you know, Great Britain riding all over the world. So yeah,
definitely got the hang of it.
You know, we've got reasonable, you know, reasonable experience. And, and
okay.
obviously
Better
we've
than
been
me,
now
for sure, by a long way.
We're 31 years of the Yamaha off-road experience, and, you know, still going strong. You know, with both you know, enduro and adventure riding.
And the best way for anyone to book a session with you on website or telephone?
Website, yeah. You know, obviously on our website, Yamaha Off-road Experience. That, you know, we've got a calendar. We do book a long way in advance, so generally we're looking 4 to 6 months ahead of where we are. So like this year, even though it's September now, we're fully booked to the end of the year, so we don't really have any availability for this year. Our 2026 dates will go live at the beginning of January, and then our season runs from March through to middle of November. But, you know, we do get some cancellations, so if any, you know, just, you know, ring up or send an email, we can put you on the cancellations list.
Brilliant. Dylan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah.
And look
I've really
forward to
enjoyed
seeing
today.
you again.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. Thank you.
Good.